college classic. Oh, you can say college classic campus. It's a mean it. No, you can't. I tell you. We're reading this book here. It's called The Unsolved. Well, answers to the unsolved mysteries of prophecy, right? By, that guy, Dr. David Jeremiah. Okay, so we left off in a really struggling part of this book here, eh? Yeah. You start in Act 4, the millennium. Who rules the world? What will be the millennium be like? What happens at the end of the millennium? Well, during the millennium, children will be born who will populate the earth. Some of these children will rebel against the righteous rule of God. Satan is loose for a time at the end of the millennium, and he stirs up a final rebellion on earth among those who haven't believed during the 1,000 years. The final judgment of the world, the great white throne judgment, concludes the millennium and ushers in eternity. Here's something that's going to really interest you. You're going to like this. You ever see that movie, Artificial Intelligence? Well, in the movie, this boy is a robot, and he can't eat like other kids, and he can't do things like other children, but he looks and acts just like a real child. He even has feelings and emotions. He's computerized to have feelings and emotions like a child. In the Bible, in Daniel 7, it talks about an eagle, and it's given the heart of a man. Its wings are plucked, and it's told to remain. And it behaves like a man. It's told to stand like a man, but it's not a man. So it sits with men. And then, when we read the next one in Daniel 7, just a little further down, it's about a bear. He's raised up on one side. This is remember, a bear is large. So if he's raised up on one side, he's got a lot of muscle there. And this one side that it's raised up on, it goes about and attacks the women. So he has 3 ribs in his teeth, and is told to devour much flesh. Not meat, but flesh. So they're going to send out the eagle to attack the men, and then the men are going to get purged up for righteousness' sake. And then these guys are going to come in, and they're going to attack the wives who don't know their husbands have left. And they're going to take them captive, into captivity. They're going to have work for them. They're going to have jobs. They're going to have responsibilities and duties. It starts with the promotion. Then it starts with the inventory. And next you know it, you're fornicating. God calls this the prostitute. And the third one, the leopard. In Isaiah, God calls this leopard swift. Okay, but isn't the Babylonian even swifter? Iraq. So we see that these have 4 wings. I don't think we know that have 4 wings on airplanes. In Ezekiel, we find these same 4-winged characters with hoof feet. Pastor Chuck once called these sons of perdition from Calvary Chapel. And I believe that. And these are sons and daughters of perdition. If you have your time and you need the love of a love so fine, distant I follow. Lord, your love is good to see. And Lord, your love teaches me. Lest man put forth the hand and take of the tree of life and live again, forever he'll see. So we know that the womb's going to be polluted after the rapture. I don't believe there'll be any children 12 and under. And I think that that's God's punishment on us. And I don't think it's going to be 7 years after or in between. I believe that the sixth candlestick is going to reign a full 10 years before the Antichrist can kick in with his 7 years. Because the seventh candlestick doesn't finish its fullness. It says times and space or season. So therefore, this one doesn't finish. So it goes either 3.5 years or 7 years, but it doesn't go the 10 years. Now, counting from 1946, when Israel became a nation, to 1956, all hell broke loose. So from 1956, the first candlestick opened up, Ephesus. 1966, the second, Smyrna. 1976, Pergamum. 1986, Thyatira. 1996, Sardis. 2006, Philadelphia. Ooh. We're about to leave here. 2016 will be the seventh candlestick. We're out of here. That's what I believe. 10 years an archive. An hour. So, what is the difference between post-millennialism, amillennialism, and premillennialism? These are three competing views concerning the millennium. Now, to finish on this, that 10 years where there ain't going to be no children, but the candlestick will reign, I believe 12 and under will all be in heaven. All. And God promises in Isaiah that you will watch your children smashed to pieces, killed. You will watch your wives ravished, and you will be murdered by the sword. So, no one's going to stop the devil. God's going to turn his back on the world. He'll be waiting in heaven because the wages of sin is death. And that's going to be the only way to get up there unless the chosen find you necessary for something. Gabriel and another angel went into Sodom and Gomorrah, and they went there to investigate. And they investigated and found sodomy, idolatry, fornication. As soon as they walked in, there were two men sleeping on a bed and engaging in sexual desires. And rather than have sex with and fornicate with Lot's two daughters, who probably weren't very good looking to begin with because nobody wanted them. Not even their fiancés or husbands. They hadn't been taken. They probably weren't very good looking. Even Lot himself had to be given wine to be made drunk just to intercourse with both of them. And it's funny because they went through a devastation, a horrible devastation. And in those days, Abraham was married to his half-sister. So it wasn't uncommon for a father to have intercourse with his daughter. I believe that there'll be a 10-year span before the Antichrist will be allowed to do what he does. When we get to the seventh candlestick, that's the eighth. Because once you enter into the seventh candlestick, Jesus Christ comes for you. He says, behold, I stand at the door and knock, in the seventh candlestick. He who hear my voice and let me in, I'll come down to him and sup with him, and he with me. It's over. They're out of here. There it is, the wedding supper of the Lamb. So, these are three competing views concerning the millennium. Post-millennialism was invented by Unitarian minister Daniel Whitby in the mid-17th century. It teaches that the church itself will bring about the millennium through the preaching of the gospel. As more and more people across the globe are converted, the world will gradually be conquered for Christ, and Jesus will at least return to earth to take up the throne won for him by his church. That's the sixth candlestick. That's why Jesus comes in the seventh candlestick. He comes to get those. They won. They stuck to his word. They stayed with him. Even unto death. I'm willing to die, Jesus. Take me home. I know the wages of sin is death. I'm still knocking on the door. Please let me in. He'll turn to you. And a millennialism teaches that there is no literal 1,000-year reign of Christ. Instead, the church inherits the millennial blessing promised to Israel, and Christ reigns through the church right now in an allegorized millennium. And this view was developed and promoted by Augustine in the 4th century and remains a common view in most Reformed circles and Catholic and Lutheran and Protestant churches as well, alike. But what we see here is Calvinism and Darwinism at each other's throat. Not them personally, but the people who follow the path of Darwinism versus Calvinism, and the theories there related to one another in a sensitive, I have to call it a